Imagine this. A huge creature, like a real leviathan, swimming in the ocean thousands of years ago. It lives, it dies. And then much, much later, a piece of it, just one tooth, turns up miles inland. Sounds almost like a myth, right?
It really does. But that's exactly what we're diving into today.
Yeah, you're joining us for a deep dive into this incredible find. The first ever sperm whale tooth from the 3rd millennium BC found on the Iberian Peninsula. And get this, it's only the second one like it found in the entire Western Mediterranean.
It's truly remarkable. And this isn't just, about an old tooth. It tells an amazing story.
Exactly. It's about this epic journey over thousands of years and what it tells us about a huge Copper Age site and the people living there, their beliefs, their society.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission here is to really unpack the story of this unique artifact. We want to trace its path, from the deep ocean, getting battered by nature, then picked up by people, and finally ending up in this place that tells us so much about ancient rituals.
We'll look at the science, how we can reconstruct that journey, and what it all meant to them.
Okay, so let's start with where it was actually found.
Right. The site is Valencina de la Concepción Castilleja de Guzmán, usually just called Valencina. It's near Seville in Spain. And this tooth, well, it opens up a whole window into that place.
In Valencina.
Mm.
It's not just any site, is it? We're talking massive scale.
Oh, it's huge. About 450 hectares. Just enormous for the Copper Age. It was clearly a major center, like a focus for early complex societies back in the 3rd millennium BC in Europe.
Known for things like giant ditches.
Yeah, huge ditches, some almost 10 meters deep, and these special megalithic tombs, the Tholos type, like La Pastora, which is quite famous, and just tens of thousands of pits all over the landscape.
Tens of thousands. Wow. So where in all that did this tooth turn up?
It was found back in 2018 during excavations for, believe it or not, a new library building in a sector they called Nueva Biblioteca, the new library sector.
Huh. A new library unearthing ancient history.
Exactly, and it really stood out. It was just this one single tooth found among the usual stuff, like, bits of pottery, stone tools, some animal bones.
So what did it look like initially? What did they notice first?
Well, it's a pretty big piece. 13.2 centimeters long, and analysis quickly showed it was from an adult sperm whale, an older one, actually.
An older whale? How could they tell?
You could see a lot of wear on one side, and there was the smoothed over fracture on another part, damage that likely happened while the whale was still alive.
Okay, that's fascinating in itself.
Uh-huh.
But the journey after the whale died,
Mm.
that's where it gets really wild, right? This whole taphonomic story.
Absolutely. Taphonomy, it's like forensic science for fossils and artifacts. It helps us reconstruct everything that happened after death. The wear and tear suggests the whale probably died naturally, but then the tooth starts its own adventure on the seafloor.
It wasn't just sitting there peacefully then.
Not at all. First off, we see bite marks.
Bite marks.
Sharks. Definitely sharks scavenging the carcass. There are these specific V-shaped grooves. One's over a centimeter long. It's an ichneus species called Linicnus bromlei. Basically, shark tooth drag marks.
Wow. So sharks literally left their calling card on it. What else happened down there?
Well, after the scavengers, the tooth became like a little piece of real estate on the seafloor, a hard surface for invertebrates to colonize.
Like corals or something.
Sort of, yeah. We found traces of sponges, tiny holes less than a millimeter across, which actually tells us the water was pretty clean. Then there are these winding grooves from marine worms, polychaetes.
Worms digging into it.
Yeah, Manopolydora, and then mesh-like patterns, regilicnus left by snails or maybe chitons grazing algae off the surface. Even tiny barnacles, Rogerella, carved out little comma-shaped homes.
It's like a miniature ecosystem history written on the tooth.
It is. It tells us it spent a long time down there, exposed on the seafloor, sometimes maybe buried a bit, then exposed again. Definitely deep sea.
Okay, so it's covered in these sea life traces. How on earth does it get from the bottom of the ocean to dry land, miles from the coast?
Right, so it probably got moved around by currents, buried, uncovered. Then eventually some kind of really energetic event must have happened.
Like a massive storm.
Exactly, a huge storm, or maybe extreme tides. Something powerful enough to dredge things up from deeper water and wash them ashore. We see this with other things found at Valencina too, like deep water scallop shells, Pecten maximus. They wouldn't normally be near the coast.
So it finally washes up on a beach somewhere.
Washes ashore, and then its journey still isn't over. It gets buried again, but this time in coastal or land sediment. Plant roots grew around it, leaving these little etching marks. It even developed a kind of cemented crust on the outside.
Good grief. What a journey.
It really is. It's only after all of that, this incredibly long and complex natural history, that some Copper Age person finds it.
Okay, so now humans enter the picture. What did they do with it? You mentioned part of it was missing.
Yes, the lower half is gone. And when researchers looked closely at the break, the fracture surface,
Yeah.
they found four straight parallel grooves, tiny ones, but definitely there.
What does that mean? How is broken?
It means it wasn't just snapped or smashed. Those grooves suggest someone used a chisel-like tool, applying steady pressure to split it deliberately.
Ah, so it was intentional, not just accidental damage. Why would they do that?
Well, maybe to get raw material. Ivory-like dentine, you know? Perhaps for making small ornaments, beads, that kind of thing. Or maybe the act of splitting it was part of transforming it into something symbolically important.
And crucially, all those sea life marks, the shark bites, the worm trails, the barnacles.
Yeah.
What do they tell us about how people got this tooth? Does it rule out hunting?
Absolutely, 100%. All that bioerosion proves it spent ages on the seafloor. It couldn't have come from a whale they hunted or even one that just washed ashore dead. Yep. This was something found, already ancient, already marked by the sea, a natural curiosity collected from the coast. And we have zero evidence for whaling back then in southern Spain anyway. No other whale bones at Valencina either.
So it arrived at the site as this exotic special object, like you said, similar to imported amber or ivory.
Exactly. A rare find brought inland.
And then it ends up in this pit US 123. Tell us about that contest. What was this pit like?
It was basically cone-shaped, about a meter wide at the top, narrowing down to maybe 64 centimeters and almost 90 centimeters deep. The tooth itself was found in the upper part of the fill.
Was it alone in the pit?
Oh, no. There was quite a bit else in there. Lots of pottery sherds, 187 fragments, and some had these weird little perforations drilled into them, which seems like some kind of specific practice.
What else?
7 larger stone tools, macrolithic tools, and just one single flint blade. And importantly, 87 animal bones.
Animal bones.
Oh.
Any marine animals. More whale bits. Nope. And that's key. All 87 bones were from domestic animals, pigs, cattle, sheep, goats. And over half of them showed signs of burning.
Burning. Okay, so domestic animals, some burned, pottery, tools, and this one exotic whale tooth. What does that whole assemblage suggest?
Well, the fill seemed quite uniform, like it all went in together. And there were no human remains, so the interpretation is that this wasn't just a rubbish pit. It was a deliberate deposit.
An offering.
Very likely. A structured deposition, probably ceremonial, something done perhaps as part of a ritual, a single event.
That makes sense, placing it with other valuable things found at Valencina, even if not in graves, like the gold foil you mentioned or big copper axes.
Exactly. These things that seem to have been taken out of circulation, maybe ritually killed or offered up in these very staged ways, they were treated as special, maybe totemic or sacred objects.
And the Copper Age folks of Valencina, they clearly had a thing for powerful animals, right? With the elephant tusks and ostrich eggs found elsewhere. They did. And it seems this sperm whale tooth, this piece of a giant mysterious sea creature, was given that same kind of reverence. Even though they lived inland, the power of the ocean embodied in this tooth clearly meant something profound.
When does this offering date to?
We couldn't date the tooth directly, not enough collagen left, but the pottery found with it and other dates from that excavation area put it firmly in the later part of the Copper Age at Valencina. Probably around 2500 to 2300 BC.
So end of the Copper Age. And how rare is a find like this, really? You said it's only the second one.
In the whole Western Mediterranean from this period, yes. The only other one is from Monte de Codi in Sardinia, which is itself a hugely important, almost sacred site.
And that Sardinian tooth, was it similar? Modified?
Yes. Also found in a really significant context and also showing signs of human modification. It's quite a pattern. It suggests these teeth were recognized as something special across quite a wide area.
That's fascinating. So this one tooth, it's not just an isolated curiosity. It hints at maybe a shared symbolism.
It certainly seems possible.
What does this tooth, and maybe other finds, tell us overall about how these inland people viewed the sea, their sea worldview?
Well, it shows the sea was definitely present in their minds and their cosmology, even living miles away. We see it in other things, too. Like, for their big megalithic monuments, they sometimes specifically chose stones that had natural marine fossil patterns on them.
Wow, really? So they were deliberately bringing the sea, symbolically, into their sacred spaces.
It looks that way. And we also find those pecten scallop shells, the deep water ones, used as offerings in burials. and thousands of tiny disc beads, often arranged in ways that might mimic sea patterns or textures in elaborate clothing or decorations.
So it wasn't just the tooth. There's a whole pattern of incorporating the marine world.
Yes, a real connection, a symbolic incorporation of the sea and its power into their lives and their rituals. It's quite profound for an inland community.
It really is amazing. Even without, sailing ships or active whaling, the ocean held this powerful allure, this sacredness.
hmm It speaks volumes about how they saw the world and the power they attributed to these rare, exotic things from that other realm.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap this incredible story. We have this single sperm whale tooth.
Starting its journey literally on the ocean floor.
Yeah, getting scarred by sharks, colonized by tiny sea creatures, tossed about by currents for who knows how long.
Thousands of years, probably. Then washed ashore in some big storm.
Buried again, dug up by roots, until finally a person in the Copper Age finds it.
Recognizes it as something special. They deliberately modify it, split it.
And then it's placed carefully in this pit, this offering, with burned animal bones and pottery, maybe as part of a ceremony.
A tangible link, connecting this inland community to the vast, mysterious ocean.
So, as a final thought for you listening, just consider how this one ancient object, this piece of a whale, became a bridge between worlds, the land and the sea, the known and the unknown. What does this deep dive into one tooth tell us about that very human impulse, across all time, to find profound meaning in things that are rare, powerful, and maybe just a little bit alien? Something that still resonates today, isn't it?